Parents strongly caution the following programs are intended for mature audiences over the age of 18. These programs may contain some material that many parents would not find suitable for children and may include intense violence, sexual situations, coarse language, and suggestive dialogue.
What if I told you we're having steaming hot verbal intercourse right now that was conceiving thoughts and birthing many beautiful things out of our own minds? I'm Winternook, and you're watching Digital Theater, where we use theater of the mind to peek behind the brains of film and games. Without further ado, let's hop on stage. So what is sex? No, I don't mean the textbook definition of to procreate, although that would be correct. I more so mean, what does it look like? What does it constitute to have sex, or sex having been occurred? I know it sounds rather silly, but genuinely think about it for a minute. Usually, it involves two people and results in both parties leaving the situation satisfied. Well, I mean at least on a basic human level, that is. Let's face it, sometimes both parties aren't emotionally pleased. But as for sex, this is our understanding of the word colloquially. What if I told you this brings a lot of behavior among gamers into question? When a guy saves the picture of a female streamer for his own quote-unquote use later, is this harmless behavior or a creepy lack of consent? Does sex have to be physical for it to count as sex? FiveM seems to have these problems often. It's not just doing whatever it is that makes us feel alive in a game world. No, sometimes it's about ranking women, assuming who they slept with, and that they were given leadership roles based on, well, a different kind of skill set. In online gaming, there's often a tendency to assume that women get into their leadership positions simply by sexting with the men of high stature in community staffs and teams. While this can sometimes be the case, it is a rather sexist assumption, as I've never seen anybody alleging, oh, the only reason Ocean became fire chief was because he sent nudes. Rather, it's often the other way around. You see often that, oh well, the only way Yeka was chief was because she was banging Ocean. No one ever suspects the man whore, put simply. But, why are we constantly thinking of women in sexually charged situations, or hypersexualized contexts? Why do the male streamers from NoPixel seemingly, by and large, avoid the weird and pervasive sexualization that the women face regularly?
Yeah, I've been on Twitch for 8 years. I'm kind of desensitized to all of that now, but it did make me stop using cam because I just got sick of people constantly talking about my appearance over other things.
Yeah.
I use a VTuber and people still send me creepy messages. I'm just trying to be an anime girl on the internet, guys.
It's not even the comments either. I don't know if you guys want me to even broach this topic because I don't know if it gives them any kind of validation or not, but the stuff that we deal with from time to time with those subreddits, do you guys want me to say anything?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
okay. From time to time, I personally have to deal with things from the staff side where we encounter communities that have been made simply to harass or just be gross about the women of NoPixel. And they, number one, the worst one in my opinion is the deep fakes, and also OnlyFans content being put everywhere. And I frequently, every month, I think, have to contact Reddit, I have to contact Discord, I have to contact Twitter about these pictures. I have seen things I do not want to see. Okay? I love you guys, but I don't want to see those things. But I have been made to because obviously it comes to me in a staff channel and I have to process that. And that's something that the women of Twitch in general have to deal with. It's not just NoPixel, but there are NoPixel specific groups that have done this, and it's not even just OnlyFans stuff. People make 3D art of people's character models, and it is disgusting.
SF is a community of roughly 150, we'll say? NoPixel is probably 3 times the size, and both me and those huge streamers have had similar experiences. Let that sink in. Editing Winners here. I just wanted to clarify real quick and say that what I meant by that was there's a similarity in the way that people can like just be gross and kind of creepy and fantasize about different things. It doesn't necessarily mean that there are 3D renders of me running around or anything like that, but there's still a similarity of experience or shared experience. It's just not the same experience. So before y'all jump into the comment section, just a heads up. I know it sounded tone deaf. Not exactly what I meant. Alright, back to the original video. It's honestly part of why, aside from safety and anonymity, I don't do facecam personally. Because I've been told the stories about certain individuals keeping a bunch of screenshots of certain females from SAF who had turned on their webcam, feeling safe enough to do so, only to have that trust abused. And this brings us back to the topic of consent. Have you ever seen that video about tea as a metaphor for consent with sexual intercourse? If not, I recommend watching it for no other reason than it's hilarious. It might not be a perfect philosophical metaphor, but it sure is funny.
If you're still struggling with consent, just imagine instead of initiating sex, you're making them a cup of tea. You say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they go, "Oh my God, I would love a cup of tea, thank you." Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you can make them a cup of tea, or not, but be aware that they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important bit, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you're entitled to watch them drink it. And if they're unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea, and they can't answer the question, "Do you want tea?" because they're unconscious. Okay, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted tea, and they said yes, but in the time it took you to boil the kettle or brew the tea and add the milk, they are now unconscious. You should just put the tea down, make sure the unconscious person is safe, and this is the important part again, don't make them drink the tea.
Anyways, I ask because it brings about the question, can a person be an inspiration for making a new kind of tea? Is it a tea party if it's over Zoom, and you're not drinking any tea anyway? These are problems our generation is seemingly facing more and more these days. Whilst according to studies, 84% of Gen Z prefers face-to-face interaction and has a desire for a community that isn't virtual, there is a large subsection of introverts and queer people who seek to find community with those they relate to online. And often, this leads to more feelings of detachment and loneliness. But what if this loneliness drives you to do something a bit more abhorrent? A while back, I was made aware by someone in SEF that an individual who was part of a group of what we'll be referring to as, bro dudes for the sake of being charitable, who would get into lengthy sessions of guy talk about women in the community. There were tier lists and things of that nature made, and otherwise raunchy discussion occurred. But what I didn't know was that there was a smash or pass list allegedly made. And I made the smash list for at least 2 guys out of the group. And this is when I'm very open about liking women and only women. When I heard about this, I felt slightly violated. Part of me thought I should be flattered, another felt objectified. I do have to imagine there was probably a bit of a Finster effect there. It was like, okay, this is what it is, we know what this is. Because they probably perceived me as a, cis female. And honestly, it's kind of scary to think that if they ever were to find out, it might cause a problem for me, but yeah, fuck it, I have enough anonymity on the line that I'm not really too terribly worried. But it is kind of frightening that somebody's, sexualization of myself could lead to, on the internet, mind you, could lead to actual ramifications for me, as far as my own safety. Because you ever, the whole trope is, once people realize that a trans woman is trans, sometimes they can get violent because they feel like they've been hoodwinked, duped, or trapped. When, in reality, I'm just going about living my life. You know what I mean? felt like I had no control over the sexual perception of my own image. No one should have to feel this way. Unfortunately, a lot of women do often have to feel this way. This is not a specific problem personally plaguing the GTA roleplay scene. This affects the entirety of gaming. Just in my search for videos for B-roll footage, just surrounding this one video alone, I found countless montages of playlist titles sexy streamers and things of that nature. I'm not going to sit here and claim to be the moral authority on whether or not it's okay to quote-unquote browse the menu without buying, but what I will say is we need to stop normalizing locker room talk, especially in gaming communities. The fact of the matter is that guy I described earlier, you might see as a creep, but he very well might just be a misguided teenager who thought that type of behavior was okay, because his male counterparts said it was okay. Joking with friends about how that one admin is just a slut or the things you do given the opportunity doesn't just affect your friend group, but it quite literally normalizes rape culture. But the only way men can do better is if they're extended enough grace to not be perceived as the enemy constantly. Try to avoid assuming every guy wants in your pants or is intentionally trying to be a douche. And maybe, just maybe, then we'll have rolled credits on sexism. If you enjoyed this video, please consider going down in the description and going to my Buy Me a Coffee. It helps me keep the channel alive and it helps me to get new editing software each month. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you watching. You all are wonderful, lovely. I'm going to be trying to stream on Friday, God willing. And with that, I'll catch you guys when I catch you guys. Remember, be your own guide, follow your own movement. I love you. Goodbye.